Hey guys, how's it going? Well, if you're sitting there watching this video, that means it must be time for a Bible break. Because sometimes life gets a little busy and you need to take a break to break open your Bible. What is love? Is it staying up at the altar with your significant other saying I do? Is it holding your new baby for the very first time? Is it the beautiful sight you see when you open the refrigerator door? So in the English language, the word love can mean a lot of different things. I could love my wife, I could love my children, I could love being outdoors, I could love a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But how we use the word love depends on the context. I mean, the love that I have for my wife hopefully is not the same love I have for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Or is it? Well, in English, how we use the word love for everything, in the Greek language, there's actually different words for different kinds of love. You would use the different words accordingly depending on which love you were talking about. There's a story in the Bible you may or may not be familiar with where it actually uses the different words for love in Greek that doesn't really come across when the Bible was translated into English, or adds another layer to the story that you may have never even seen before. And that story can be found in John chapter 21, the very last chapter of the book of John. And the context goes a little something like this. This was after Jesus rose from the dead, and he had already appeared to the disciples a couple of times. And during the 3.5-year ministry of Jesus, the disciples kept thinking that Jesus was the Messiah, but that he was going to establish an earthly kingdom. They didn't realize it was going to be a different kind of kingdom. So the disciples were kind of in a period of what now? They didn't really see what the future had for them. There were 7 disciples, which one of them included Peter. Well, and Peter and some of the other disciples, their former occupation was that they were fishermen. So they decided to go fishing. So I don't know, maybe they were thinking they had to go back to their former occupation, and maybe this was something that Peter could easily fall back on because fishing was his life. So maybe he was finding some comfort in that, and some other disciples wanted to join him while fishing. So here you are going fishing, something that you're used to, something that you know. They fished all night long and they caught nothing. That's a big disappointment. That probably discouraged the disciples even more. But as the sun's coming up, there's this man who is standing on the shore and he calls out to them saying, "Hey guys, have you caught anything?" And they yell back, "Nope, we didn't catch anything." Well, then the man on the shore said, "Well, try casting your net on the right side of the ship and you should make a catch." They're probably thinking, this guy has not been out here all night like we were. How does he know that if we cast on that side that we're going to catch fish? Does he know something that we don't? Spoiler alert, he does. So they do what the man says. I mean, what have they got to lose, right? And when they did cast their net on the right side of the ship, they caught so many fish that they couldn't even count it. And if I'm remembering right, I think there were just so many that they couldn't even pull it into the boat. They actually had to pull the net as they go to shore. And John turns to Peter and says, "Dude, this is totally Jesus." Why did I say it like that? Apparently, John surfed the waves of Galilee, bruh. So Peter actually hops out of the boat and swims when he realizes this is Jesus, leaving the other disciples to deal with the fish that they caught. I'm sure it was understandable. Side note, I believe the story is in Luke chapter 5. Jesus performed a similar miracle with Peter, James, John, and Andrew before calling them to follow him and join him in ministry. Well, this story is actually a callback to that story, Jesus trying to encourage the disciples, saying, "Hey guys, remember when I did this in the past? You guys will be okay. You're going to be fishers of men, and remember that I'm the one that's going to bring the fish to you. Just throw out the net." I think that's kind of cool. Cross references are tight. So they bring the fish to shore, and then they eat breakfast. And as they're eating breakfast, Jesus does something with Peter. Peter is a disciple who stuck his foot in his mouth a lot. When Jesus was walking across the Sea of Galilee, Peter was in the boat saying, "Lord, command me to come to you," and he was walking on water, and well, that didn't work out so well. And then one time when Jesus said that he was going to die on the cross, Peter said, "No, don't let any of these things happen to you." And well, he kind of got rebuked, being called Satan. And the night of Jesus' betrayal, he told the disciples that they're all going to run away from him. Peter said, "Nope, not me." And well, he kind of ran away at first. Then Jesus said that Peter was going to deny him 3 times. Peter was like, "I ain't doing that." And well, we all know how that turned out. Since Peter denied Jesus 3 times, Jesus asked Peter if he loves him 3 times. And this is where the Greek comes in and makes things pretty interesting. In English translations, it goes something like this. Jesus says, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And Jesus asks a second time, "Do you love me?" And Peter responds a second time, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And a third time, Jesus says, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" This time, Peter actually begins to cry and says, "Lord, you know all things, and you know that I love you." There's 2 loves that you need to know in Greek. The first one is phileo love, and the other one is agape love. Phileo is like a brotherly love. That's why Philadelphia is called the city of brotherly love, which I wonder if it is. That's gonna be awkward if crime rate's like really high there. And agape, that's like this self-sacrificial love. It's the highest form of love, the purest of all loves, so to speak. The first time that Jesus asks Peter if he loves him, he's saying, Simon Peter, do you agape me? But then which Peter replies, yes, Lord, you know that I phileo you. Peter doesn't say agape love to Jesus. Jesus is asking Peter if he loves him with the purest kind of love, which Peter's like, no, I kind of love you as a brother. And the second time when Jesus asks, do you love me? It's the same thing. Do you agape me? Peter says, yes, you know that I phileo you. But the third time Jesus asks that question is where it gets pretty interesting. Jesus doesn't ask Peter, do you agape me? This time he asks, Simon Peter, do you phileo me? Do you love me as a brother? And this is the point where Peter actually begins to cry. It's almost like he's crying because he knows that he wants to love Jesus with this purest love, like he said he has throughout the 3.5-year ministry, but he knows that he doesn't quite love him like that. Well, maybe not yet. Peter tells Jesus, yes, Lord, you know all things, and you know that I phileo you. Not agape you, but phileo you. Because for the whole 3.5-year ministry, remember Peter kept saying, I will never leave you even though other people will leave you. I'm not going to deny you. And remember, Peter kind of failed a lot. But then Jesus, being cool as always, encourages Peter. Jesus explains to him that when he was younger, he was able to go wherever he wanted, dress however he wanted, but one day he will not be able to go where he wants to. He won't be free anymore. And it says that Jesus said this because he was signifying what kind of death Peter was going to die to glorify God. It's like Jesus is telling Peter, hey, you may not agape love me now, but continue to follow me because over time, you're going to, because you are going to die for me. Peter wasn't going to be denying Jesus then. And then Jesus ends the conversation by saying, follow me. And maybe you've been in that situation too. Maybe you thought you agape God, but maybe you don't. Maybe you just phileo him. Maybe you don't love him at all. And maybe that's really discouraging. Maybe it's brought you down. I've been in that place before. What's great about Jesus is he's not looking for people who are perfect to follow him. He's wanting people to follow him so he can continue making them more and more like him. So don't worry about coming to Jesus only when you got things figured out in your life. And don't be afraid to follow him because over time you're going to learn to love him more and more and more. Because after all, Jesus' invitation is for you to come to him because it's when you come to him, you will find rest for your soul. Hopefully you found the video encouraging, and as usual, if somewhere over here, you can subscribe to the channel, helps out a lot. And also over here, there's some other videos you should totally check out if you haven't done it already. Be sure to like, comment, share the video, stuff like that. And remember to choose Christ every single day, because in the end, that's what Christianity is really all about. See ya.